Right, you lot, and I don't know how I'm gonna break this to you. I'm doing another album. We're in a world where a nuclear war could kick off at any minute, and somehow this is still the most tragic thing happening this year. Now I know what you're gonna say. Give it a rest already, because my first three albums, Made It Out Alive, Progress Like Progress, and The Past, Present, and Future, are three of the worst things that have ever graced streaming services for music. I have more integrity than someone like Tom McDonald, so I'm not going to call myself the worst of all time, but it's bloody up there. I'm alongside the submarine fucking man, you know what I mean? But with this new album, you need to forget everything you ever knew about Broadbent. Any rules, any preconceived notions, the script has been ripped up. This is like it never happened, any of it, and it's a complete new start. Well, sort of. I say Made It Out Alive, to Past, Present, and Future. It's a bit like a trilogy. It's like the Wolf trilogy, but like the really shit version. This is Cherry Bomb then? In a weird way, that kind of makes sense, you know? Before It Faults is a line in the sand for Broadburn. Not only because the sound is completely different, but the lineup for the album is a bit different. Of course, you still have me and Nikili as the two faces, me with the writing and performing, Nikili with the production and arrangement and instrumentals. But the third man of Broadburn was always Alfonso Archer, the mastering engineer, you know, and almost the director, the guy who put it all together, right? Now he's no more. He's not dead, I think. He's doing charity work. He's a great guy. We love Alfonso. But replacing him is the man, the myth, the legend, RW. You know, the guy that made June 13th, like the greatest song ever released, yeah. Now with RW comes some changes in the way that we've gone about things. If you know anything about the guy, he's a massive Charlie XCX and Frank Ocean fan. So a lot of Charlie's auto-tune like vocals and a lot of Frank Ocean's more stripped back production and layers are heavily incorporated into this album. We experimented a lot with this album, doing different techniques, all sorts of stuff. There's a lot of auto-tune going on here. There's a lot of like backing vocal, weird effect. We've done all sorts of strange stuff. Some of it might work, some of it won't, but it's very much completely a new door open from anything the Broadburn was before. It is. Now let's talk about what this album's called and why it's called that. Now this album is called 4am Fault, so I've decided to abandon the stupidly long titles of this one and get straight to the point. Now, I've gone with 4am Faults because it is stated that you are at your most emotionally vulnerable and dramatic in the early hours, is when you kind of hit your peak emotion. 4am Faults in status is very much that. It's a hyperlised, dramatic deconstruction of my mind in some weird sense. There's a lot of going over the past and glorifying stuff and trying to move on and kind of going in spirals is a big part. It's in the early hours, you can't sleep and you're going over stuff over and over again in your head, stuff that you should have moved on from because it's finished. But also fears of the future and worries about everything about that. A massive theme in this album, which is carried out through a lot of the tracks, which you'll find out as I break them down, is that of identity and authenticity. The version of yourself that you present to people versus the version of yourself you want to be, and that balance and that battle of how to socially be yourself but not to become an outcast and all of that sort of stuff. I feel like that is very prevalent in this album. You also get kind of the usual stuff, you know what I mean, a lot of like nostalgia-based stuff and childhood-based stuff and kind of reflecting, and also a bit of romantic stuff in there as well, as always, which you expect with a Broadburn record at this point. So one thing I really wanted to change before Faults as composed to the first three albums was to have more consistent themes and to have the narrative work. I feel like all of the songs on this album are in some way related to that core idea, and in some way play in to that perception of who I want to be and who I am, and that internal battle. Whereas I felt Made It Out Alive was just a bunch of random stories that had nothing to do with each other. Progress had about 10 different stories it wanted to tell and couldn't pick one. A Past, Present, and Future was just a bunch of random events as well throughout time, so that's what we wanted to do. The sound of this album is quite unique, in the sense that it's almost like a double album when it comes to sound. And we've done that on purpose, because in one half this album is an indie pop, stripped back, bedroom, very, you know, R&B influenced. The second half is classic 2000 pop punk. This is meant to symbolise kind of the change in tone, the change in environment as I move from school to college, basically. That is how it's meant to be. And I say it's a double album, it's more like the first 9 tracks are one thing and then the last 5 are another thing. But that is what we have gone for with 4M Thoughts sonically. And it wasn't just a sense of like, oh, I wanted to do indie pop and pop punk and left put together. I actually thought like, no, it has a cohesive reason why we've done it like that, why the track list is ordered in the way it is. And not every song is exactly that. There are a few like just generic pop songs. So let's break down the track list, go track by track and explain what the song is about, what it sounds like, and anything extra I want to add. Okay, the first will only bring petrol pain, light the fire, put away the mat, the flames melt to fade into ash. The track on the album is called Ash. Now, Ash is going to be a very Marmite moment in the album. I like albums that kind of start out with something drastic. One I come up with immediately is Anything to Be With You on Carly Rae Jepsen's Loveliest Time. It is a Marmite song. People despise that song, they really like it. And I felt I wanted something that was a statement, that was completely different and out of left field from anything I've made in the past, but also kind of was a standalone piece that wasn't part of the rest of the album. And Ash is very much that. It's got a very eerie, kind of imploding doom instrumental, which is meant to kind of get into that idea of escaping nostalgic times, because the whole idea of Ash is glorifying the past and how you shouldn't glorify the past because a lot of the time it's not much better than what you have now and you're just only looking at the good bits, basically. And it's kind of that looming fear as you move on and that inability to put something to bed. And it's almost got like a rock opera vibe to it. There's almost a theatrical element to Ash. It is a very bizarre song that might be the biggest mistake I've ever made, or it could really deliver. So yeah, I hope you enjoy that one. Okay, track number 2 is called 4am. Now, I don't like title tracks. I've said this since the beginning. I didn't do a title track on any of the 3 other albums, mainly because can you really imagine a song that had the chorus that said, progress for the sake of progress? Like, that wouldn't have worked with it anyway. But 4am Thoughts, I felt like needed one. It needed a centerpiece of everything that this album is in theory. And 4am is the idea of circling, this spiral of just overthinking and being extreme with everything, deep in every element. I hate summers now, kind of, because I don't really do enough. I don't really have a social life as much as I should, really, because I can't be asked a lot of the time. So I get left alone, deep in things and overgoing stuff, and that's the idea of 4am. It starts simple and it really builds into this big kind of spectacle at the end as you just keep circling and getting further in this spiral, and that leads into track number 3, Bicycle. That on first listen might sound a bit out of place on the album, or might sound a bit like, oh, that this shouldn't be here, what is this doing here? It's got nothing to do with the rest of the album. But 4am has this ending about circling, going back in the past, so I feel like I needed to do a song that really brought you back to that progress, sake of progress era. And this was actually a song that I wrote for the past, the present, the future. We went in a different direction, we didn't use it in the end, but Bicycle is a very classic kind of pop song, love related, you know what I mean, that sort of thing, and it wouldn't have been out of place on Path for the Future, Progress Sake of Progress, and I wanted to kind of have an homage to all of that and kind of one final send-off to all of that with both. Ambitious vocally, we really had to work with fucking auto-tune to really get this one to work, and because it was hard to translate an older song into the new format, but I think we did alright in the end. Okay, track number 2 years of wasted memories. I was wrong. Now, I mentioned Frank Ocean, and I Was Wrong is one of the big centerpieces of the Frank Ocean use. This is very R&B heavy. But it's also got kind of that similar idea of 4am, as like it very much builds into this big spectacle in the end as well, because that's what we wanted to do. I Was Wrong is kind of, it's a song about growth, it's a song about maturing, it's about reflecting, it's that idea of like really deep in and finding actually you the problem in a situation that you kind of told one side of the story and looked at one perspective in previous albums, and now you're actually deep in it and realising, no, you fucked up too. I think I'm a lot more critical of myself on this album. I think with the first 3 albums, it was constantly basically everyone else is the reason for my problems and I'm just depressed and all that. But I feel like with this one, it's more reflective and more honest. I think I Was Wrong is an important set piece. It's the first one we did for the album. Splashy song, it's not a single in any sense, but I think it has an important part, and I like what we did with this one. Okay, track 5 is called You Missed It All. You Missed It All is one of my favourite instrumentals that Keely's done. It's bedroom pop, it's very chilled, it's very laid back. Childhood, it's a song about reflecting on my own childhood, as, you know, I'm going to be 18 soon, so it's kind of over, which is bizarre, and it's kind of like that regret of like a more sheltered life, you know what I mean? Having a life where it wasn't normal like other you feel you missed out on stuff, and it's that idea of, I'm not ready for this to be over, I'm not prepared, and all of this stuff, and it's just kind of that over deep and worrying about something that really isn't a big deal, but I think it's an important track and one that I like a lot. Okay, sometimes I feel like I'm faking it, cause like this is the perfect fit, it's written in the stars, did it even exist? Like, was it an exception to the rule? Cause now I feel like a fraud. Like, honestly, it makes sense. This is called Force of Feeling. I always end up rapping on these albums, despite the fact I don't like doing it, but it always ends up happening in the end, and Force of Feeling is one of 2 rap tracks here. I was really inspired by kind of that early 2010s R&B hook, you know, rap verses. There's a song by Devlin called Runaway, which I really like, which was the main set piece for the inspiration of this one. The big thing with this one is that we got RW on could have got him on many songs, but we kind of decided, okay, 4am Thoughts is my album to tell my story. He has his trilogy, the Cycle trilogy, to tell his, but I did want to get him on one of the songs. I thought this one made the most sense. Force of Feeling is very much lyrically what you see on the tin. It's the idea of like, no matter how perfect a romance or an idea or a relationship as an idea sounds, if it doesn't practically make sense, you can't force that, and that is Stringline. The verse is very straight to the point, very down the line. They're not very cryptic, just, you know what I mean, very honest, and I think that is what we like. But I just really like the sound that we went for with this one, and I think it has an important part. Then you have to grow up, reignite, reunite, perfectly make construct. Had to leave before we reached Neverland. If things remain the same, we could never stand. Okay, track 7 is called Neverland. Neverland has almost got like this magical timeless feel, obviously like the Disney Neverland reference. It's a sequel to I Was Wrong, and it's kind of that, you know, it's the idea of sometimes you need time, you need space from someone before you fix things, and it's not necessarily it's broken forever, but you do need time to better a situation, and people need to grow sometimes, and I think that is what this song is. It's got kind of that magic happy ever after vibe to it, and it very much serves as a sequel. I feel like there's a lot of songs that go together on this album and play as sequels, and that's what I kind of like. You made it look too easy, flip it up so breezy, I like it's perfect, I needed to be fucking inside my story. It's hazy, you know it drives me crazy, you laugh with the style. Track 8 is called Too Easy. Now, Too Easy, you've probably heard this one because it's one of the 3 singles. To do a kind of indie pop, almost like disco-based song, I really like what we did with kind of the vocal layering here. I think some of the effects and the way what Reese was able to do with this song, I think he really made it, for me, in my opinion, the strongest song. Too Easy lyrically, it's song about desperation and frustration, really. It's about when you lose someone and you see them and they're doing all great and you're like, oh, that was too easy for them, I wanted it to be more. Why don't they feel the same way that I do? almost that stuff, and it's like, it comes off as a very desperate song, but I think that's intentional, and it's not really a song of like, oh, you want this person back. Yeah, it's more that thing of like, I'm frustrated that this means more to me than it means to you.
Can I take it on again? Can I face it on again? It's worth it on again. It's a perfect, don't want to pretend. Can I just stay friends on again? Come on again. Can I take it?
Okay, track 9 is called Not Again. Now, Not Again is also a single. This is a song I wanted to do for many years. It's been an idea in the back of my mind, but now it made sense to finally do it. It's a pop track, it's upbeat, and it's kind of the sequel to Force of Feeling, but it's also embodying some other stuff in there as well. But it's quite a straightforward song. It's kind of just a fun. It was like, you know, it's a single, but it's like that idea of like, I can't take another heartbreak. I can't face this. I'm not doing this. I don't know what I'm gonna do and all this. And yeah, I think that is what we went for with Not Again.
Head down, thumbs up, music blaring, lay down low, cuss, my name swearing, on the edge of an unknown fate. It probably 10 seconds till I'm in my weight, cause I always fall in way too deep. I'll be bombastic and a creep or a brown nose and sheep. Nobody knows what I've been through, the sacrifice and the challenge, what I've had to do.
Okay, track 10 is called Skeletons in the Closet, and Skeletons in the Closet is very much like the second opener. In another life, this could have been the opener to the album. It is very heavy, it's a pop-punk song, it's got kind of these big guitars, it's like explosive production, and it's completely different from the first 9 songs. It really says, okay, now we're in a different light here. And I'll be honest, I heard Reese do that 7 Months song and I wanted a piece of that. It's very much like that, and in a way it's very much an interlude, because it very much sets you directly into track 11, which is Alien.
Never gonna accept me. I'm a motherfucking alien. I'm a fucking alien with you. Get me, never gonna get me. Let me in, you're never gonna accept me. I'm a motherfucking alien. I'm a fucking alien. No.
Alien, for me, while not the best song, had to be the first single for me, because it very much is the story of the main theme of this album, which is that identity thing which I talked about at the start. Alien is a quite straightforward song lyrically, it's quite straightforward in production really, it's like an early 2000s, almost Green Day song we went for, but it just works for what we wanted with it. The auto-tune, the clever ways we used it, you know what I mean, it just worked, Alien, I think, and it just was a set piece, and it's not the most impressive song or technically great song on the album, but I think it has an important part in the journey.
It'll always be the same. It is never gonna change. We'll keep playing the blame game. Till we're the ones in the great fun when the slurs do get fun. They laugh to the back and we hardly play inside. Even if we're the few standing, the faster ones who are commanding.
Okay, track number 12 is called Blame Game. This is kind of my attempt at a protest song, in some semblance. It is... I feel like all my songs I never really say anything important, or like have anything to say, and I feel like if I'm doing pop punk, I feel like I needed to have at least one song which is moaning about the government. Very much a song about like how society puts people against each other, and we infight, and then but it's still the people at the top that just get bit, you know, the systems. It's quite straightforward, but the message is clear, and I had fun with it, you know what I mean, it's something I wanted to do, and it might be a bit out of place, but I think I couldn't have done a pop punk album without giving a few opinions.
Yeah, how far to go? Say my shall let the floodgates flow. More to trust, not to reserve. Keep away and over I see people do it so seamlessly. Oh, I recall jealousy, wondering if I could be me. I'm too careless to call me carefree.
The 13th track is called Fractured. Fractured is the most brutally honest song I've ever done. This is a pop punk song again. It's kind of very based off Taking Back Sunday was the main inspiration for this one. It's a song about how I am socially, and it's a song about how I have no inability of who to be, and how people shape who I'm around, shape the person I am, and how I'm that search for identity and finding the realness and all of that. All of the thesis of the album is one that I really enjoy. and what we're able to do with it, it just works quite well. And the closing track.
So I've been feeling sort of alone. Have so many connections, but I feel a big down. There's a distance between me and my heart. Since the moment's feeling hard to depart. Have cards out, I know the score, but I'm searching for something more. It's a feeling that can't be described. Created, painted, or visual.
The New You. Now, The New You is not a pop punk song. It's a ballad, quite a stripped back song, and it's kind of the closer to those two love songs from earlier, and kind of almost an epilogue to all of that. I think in a weird way, Skeletons, Alien, Fractured are like a trilogy, Wrong, Neverland are like a duo, and then I think that Force the Feeling, Not Again, The New You are like a trilogy, and then everything else almost kind of plays into the bigger themes or is part of it. And the idea of having unrealistic expectations in romance and searching for a feeling that you can't really find, and like that kind of frustration and questioning everything about yourself. And it's quite a somber epilogue, but I liked how we did it with Lying to Myself as kind of that sad kind of ballad. That's my breakdown of my new album, Void Thoughts. And I'd be shocked if you've made it to the end, because who actually cares about what the new Broadburn album is about? But yeah, I think Void Thoughts is a step in the right direction. I think there's still work for me to do to improve, but I think the leaps and bounds that we've gone on from the first three to this and everything, and honestly, RW is a big part of that, and I wouldn't have been able to do anything, because I was worried when I lost Alfie. I thought the career was over, and yeah, the album should be out 18th of July. We currently got the date. That may change, so yeah, I will see you a lot soon. Goodbye.